Hey guys, Xenom here, and this time I'm going to be doing an analysis of a silver level game between HiICantPK up against Zrouth. That's going to be annoying to say. Anyway, I am looking at this in terms of, well, focusing on HiICantPK, who I'm just going to call PK, because he's the one who sent in the replay and requested analysis. So there's a few things to note about this. So the first thing is the matchup. It's Protoss versus Terran. I'm going to assume that he knows that it's Protoss versus Terran. So the main thing to remember in that is Protoss is a lot more mobile than Terran, and especially on this map, I haven't actually played on this myself, but look at these wide open areas to get into this natural, and there's even rocks here if you want to go that route as well. It's very easy to exploit this to make sure that your opponent can't really get a good establishment in his natural. It's pretty easy to deny that if you just have a more mobile force and just make it sure that he can't move out from his ramp. So PK gonna do the good thing here and send out a pretty normal scout. That's a good job, and let's see. Yeah, just gonna queue up a whole bunch of movements. He's not gonna see anything too strange right now. Although, wow, this is Silver League, so we can see both incomes actually. Well, no, Zrouth not doing the best job of keeping that money low. There we go. That's a little bit better. Anyway, I really dislike this choice of going. This gateway was standard timing at 13, or no, sorry, at 11, mostly standard timing, and this one seems really strange. So he knew that this barracks was going down pretty late, but this is a mostly complete wall. It's a single supply depot here would complete this wall, and then it's going to be extremely difficult for the Zealots to get any lasting damage. So this walls off PK's own ramp, but he shouldn't be worried about an early push at this point because his barracks was late, and it's in a position where neither a tech lab or a reactor's on the way. Oh, well, at least immediately, because of course it can't lift off. But really, this seems so excessive, especially because, look, he's supply blocked now. He can't even use both gateways to the fullest. He would have been much better off just going for that normal timing on the core. And then this first Zealot is okay. That's pretty normal, actually. But getting that core down earlier is going to allow him Stalkers faster, and, you know, Stalkers can play with this a lot more than Zealots can. Zealots, they're going to be completely nullified by this wall, pretty much. This Zrouth is actually going to put a bunker down here, but PK doesn't know about that yet. Now that core is going down, so it's pretty late, considering you got these two gates before, well, the second gate before it. And okay, let's see. He's paying a lot of attention to this probe, I think. Well, no, it's all queued up. It should be okay. Yeah, now PK gonna send out his first 3 Zealots to attack, and again, this wall is mostly complete. If he was playing against a better player, or maybe this is just a bad map for Zrouth, this wall would certainly be complete, and those Zealots would be much more effective. I'm pretty sure they can squeeze through here. Yeah, PK just really, all of his tech is up here, which is also not the best idea. So if you want to just wall off, yeah, this is a decent idea, because this is an extremely solid wall. It's going to take a lot to get through this, but you don't want to reveal all your stuff up here if you can. So, you know, a pylon back here and then the core back here, and so your opponent won't know if you're going 4-gate push or something like that. These Zealots are going to get in and actually do a lot of damage here. His Marines are trying to kite them, and they're doing a decent job, but not the best. He is going to lose a lot of SCVs. Let's see, 1, 2, and 1 kills. So it looks like 4 kills altogether so far. Looks like 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 SCV kills, I think. Yeah, 3, 3, 3. So at this point, PK should just be focusing on these Zealots, making sure that he macros up any more units. But like this, he's losing a lot. He lost probably all of his Zealots a little unnecessarily there. And again, you don't need 3 backup pylons. 2 is more than enough. 1 is fine. Sorry, 4 backup pylons. This is just so unnecessary. You want to spread out your pylons because they do give that little amount of vision, which is going to help, say, if Reapers are on the way, which they aren't, but, you know, it's always nice to plan. And again, clustering up your pylons like this makes it so all your tech is also clustered up. One single scan reveals everything here, whereas if you had a pylon here, you could put the robo facility down here. And Zrouth, just macroing up right now, I guess. Not really keeping up with production, doesn't even have an orbital command. So, there we go. Now, PK finally spreading out some of those pylons. This money is pretty high, but this is Silver League, so I'm willing to kind of ignore that for now. He just does not have the kind of APM, I guess, or, yeah, macro ability to continue up that production, but that's okay. At silver level, you don't. It's important to keep up with your macro, but it doesn't have to be perfect. 300 is plenty low. Enough. I mean, if you can get it lower, of course it's better. And this first observer actually being, is that chrono boosted? Yeah. Being chrono boosted out, that's great. Going to help out with scouting. And by the way, that's another thing that PK really needs to work on. He had map control for the longest time, so those zealots did a lot of economic damage here, and I don't even know if any SCVs have been replaced. It's a little hard to tell. Maybe a few of them, because this is pretty light, but not like devastated. And yeah, PK now moving out. He should have done this a little bit earlier, not just to create a contain, but to take these towers to make sure that there's no bases going up, this natural isn't being put up. Because Zrouth is in a pretty decent position now. It actually doesn't have siege yet, and siege is really going to be helpful here. A few tanks over here is going to make these chokes a little bit better, but still they're enormously wide. This observer now going to come in and see everything. It really needs to move in here to this bunker, watch all these producing buildings, see what the army composition look like. So let's see, PK is going to kind of set up a contain over here. And now a warp prism out for PK. So this can be used pretty useful. I think it'd be better if he just put up a forward pylon. He does have map control. So a forward pylon would be nice over here, but this warp prism can play a lot over here in these edges. Going to be a little more difficult over here because of all those buildings. But back here is extremely vulnerable, and PK can know this if he decided to look around. He could be scouting around with this observer, but instead he's just leaving it a little bit idle here. It looks like PK actually going to go for DTs off of 6 gates and 1 base. So DTs work against this because he does know that there's not much detection at all, only going to be a few scans, but I think it'd be better to use this warp prism. He's actually going to use it as a very expensive forward pylon, or forward warp field, I guess. I actually think that blink would have been, well, actually not too useful. It'd be okay, not the best. DTs are definitely a solid choice here, but again, that warp prism in conjunction with those DTs would have been really excellent in this game. Just warping in a few here, make sure with that warp prism would have really sealed the game. Although, yeah, just about done. And it doesn't have too much gas actually. It needs to actually put down another pylon. A lot of stalkers, a lot of zealots, mostly zealots. That's kind of an awkward choice. Zealots, they do okay against the Marines, but again, if this was a solid wall, then the zealots would be pretty much screwed. They'd be able to do some damage, but of course they take so much in return. And PK just going to charge in here, and he does have quite a few forces. This army positioning pretty terrible. He really needs to make sure that those zealots can actually get up that ramp, start attacking. There we go, that's a little bit better. But again, this choke really hurting those zealots a lot. A less zealot heavy army would have been preferable. These zealots are going to do some damage to the stalker in a nice position, but this is going to get taken down by this bunker. And I assume we're going to be seeing DT soon. Zrouth still doesn't have any... Oh yeah, here's some DTs. 3 DTs on the way. And that should win him the game. There's very little detection. There's a single scan's worth of energy. Gonna check out the tank immediately. Needs to ignore these units right now. Needs to go right for this mineral line. But I guess he just has enough units. But, you know, a scan there probably would have killed all 3 DTs. There we go. That scan finally gonna go off, but it's way too late at this point. Yeah, and PK doing the right thing and trying to keep up that macro as best he can. There we go. And again, go for the workers before the orbital command or command center. It's just a generally better idea. So I think that's just about it for this game. Yeah, I don't think I have any more advice. So to recap, this block, very solid if you're expecting something early coming, but not a good choice when you know that this barracks has been delayed, when you know that there's no reactor, no tech lab on the way. And again, using this warp prism as a forward pylon is just inefficient. You can just bring out a probe, throw it down a pylon, and then bring it back. It'll make it so you can use this money a little bit better. This warp prism would have been better floating over here, and then the DTs being warped in over here would have been perfect. And what else? These pylons really clumped up at the front. Make sure this it's spread out more now, but earlier in the game, these were all the pylons for PK. These were the only 5 for him. So he was forced to clump up everything, all these gateways, this robo facility, this cybercore, and that forge. Whereas if they're spread out, then he can kind of not really hide tech, but make it a little bit harder to scout, like this Dark Shrine or this Twilight Council. He did push pretty well, although his early choice of DTs wasn't the best against Terran, who typically will well off. But that's just about all the advice I have for PK. So, yeah, if you like this and you're a lower level player who would enjoy having your replays analyzed, feel free to send them to me. So, yeah, thanks for watching. GG.